It's three guys who combined to play 15 seasons in the National Football League trenches. Well, two guys. And Mackey, who didn't do shit. This is the O-Line Committee.
All right, I don't know if we have Alex. He disappeared poof during the opening here.
Yeah.
But welcome in.
Started,
to the
I'll be right
committee.
back. Started, I'll be right back. I believe were the last words we heard from him.
He goes, I have a heart out at blank time. Okay, let's start. He goes, yeah, you guys started. I'll be right back. So he may be back in 30 seconds. He may not be back. We'll just have his empty chair.
I'm just glad to be back in my home, back in my seat, not in the city of New York.
It's good to have you back.
It's good to be back. I mean, I had to push it back an hour. I know we're already running late, but we're getting a crunch season here. Recruiting, all that fun stuff's coming to a head. A lot of gut punches, but a lot of wins at the same time. It's just part of the business here. But, man, what a fucking weekend of football.
Crazy.
Oh.
From college, we're going to do NFL here
we
mostly.
Have been so blessed with college football. Like, it's been so good. And I'm going to tell you this. The best game of the week was South Dakota State, North Dakota State. That game I watched on Saturday night was incredible. Talk about two teams that absolutely hate each other. Like there was no love lost between those two.
Wait, what channel
teams.
was NDSU?
It was on ESPN
SDSU?
Plus, dude. I had it on the 4 box.
That's junky.
I had it on the
ESPN
4
Plus
box.
streaming directional school.
Dude, it was up on the 4 box with me, and I'm watching it. I mean, the South Dakota State quarterback runs and hits a touchdown, and he's doing the bring the boom celebration, and there's a full brawl going on at the pylon. Yes. Dude, that game was one of my favorite games of the week by far to watch.
You know you're a junkie, though, when you are firing up a fourth screen with a South Dakota State Jackrabbits game on a Saturday
night.
Dude,
it was 1v.
No. What are you doing in there?
It was 1v2 FCS.
You've never clearly seen that matchup because it is the most death match bloodbath. I watched it on Sunday morning, and it's exactly what the hype it lives up to be. And it's funny because obviously we have CV in the gym, and when we brought a couple of South Dakota State kids in the gym, he called me and was like, I fucking hate you. I hate you so much. He's like, I swear to God, if I see any of that jackrabbit shit in your fucking gym, you're dead. I was like, dude, it's that intense. Holy
dude, he
shit.
calls them the bunnies.
Yeah.
I text Cordell during the game, and I was talking about one of their tackles, Gray Zabel, great kid. He's our 1,000th follower on O-Line Committee, by the way. He let us know that. He texted us. He was like, I would like it to be known I'm your 1,000th follower.
That's huge. Yeah. You win a prize. Yes.
Yeah. And so I texted him. I was like, Gray's messing up these bunnies. And he literally just responds with, fuck them. I was like, gosh, that's so aggressive, Cordell.
So aggressive.
But anyways,
crazy
what a
weekend
week
of football. There's probably we're just gonna do mics here until the mics run dry. So if you're new, welcome in O-Line Committee, an offensive line lifestyle podcast here. Jeremiah Sirles, Alex Boone, Phil Mackey, and we're gonna give you our mics. We're gonna identify the biggest things on our mind from Week 7 in the league. I want to throw this one out, mic number 1 to start with here, because I feel like, even though they're 6-0, we've barely talked about the Chiefs on this podcast in the last month. Mm-hmm. So my first mic is the Kansas City Chiefs, specifically their blueprint for winning.
I love this. And I love how you said that.
They look like a mess offensively at times.
Oh, yeah. They're a mess.
And so we're kind of like, what do we do with the Chiefs? Don't look like they're playing very well. What do we do? Because we're so used to the first part of the dynasty being built off of high octane, Tyreek Hill back in the day.
500 yards. Yep.
This is Patrick Mahomes' statistically worst season as a pro. Travis Kelce's worst season as a pro. Number 1 wide receiver out for the season. Number 1 running back, Pacheco, out for a long stretch.
Number 2 receiver out before he even started the year. Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown hasn't even played a snap.
So your top 3 targets are either out for the year or 35 years old and
washed,
traveling the world with your girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
Dude.
And yet they're 6-0 because they have an awesome defense. They have an awesome sense of how to navigate close games. And so my first mic is this is a new way of doing it for the Chiefs, but they're still the best team in the NFL.
Well, and I don't know if you guys saw the news. Juju's out this week, too, with a hamstring.
Yeah.
They just keep...
They're still going to win.
They just keep
don't.
falling.
Don't.
But no, I'm not betting against them. I'm the only one that took the Chiefs. I'm the only one that took the Chiefs in the
listen,
pick-up.
and do I feel stupid? No, because I'm watching this game, and I'm like, when the fuck is someone going to do something? They are holding Patrick in such check right now. At one point, the stat line was I don't know, 11 of 20 for like 120 yards, and that was it. And I was like, and it's the third quarter. What is going on? And you talk about, Mackey, you brought it up, the defense. Defensively, they just suffocated the Niners. And the minute that he started losing some of his top weapons, like obviously you don't have Debo to start the game because of an illness. At the same time, you don't have Christian, right? And now all of a sudden you're looking around and you're like, oh,
Ayuk
goes down with a serious injury.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it because I'm not wishing that. But at the same time, like now all of a sudden. But here's the problem I have. How about like the offense afterwards looked like shit? It looked like those guys had never been on the field together ever. And it was like you have Brock Purdy throwing these INTs and he's like looking up like, what are we doing, dude? We're supposed to bend that up. How many? But then you're like, how many times have you probably practiced together? Probably never. Well, and now all of a sudden you're starting to deal with what happens though when injuries happen on your team, right? Like eventually you have to have guys that step up. And when they don't, it looks like shit. And dude, my mic and all this, and Jay, you could say it too. Whoever fucking punches Trent Williams, you're an idiot. You are my first mic. You Cook are a moron because, by the way, he didn't want to leave the field. Was I the only one that noticed he was like standing on the sideline? And I was like, they're not going to make him leave. And I'm like, he's going to go out there and punch this dude so hard. Like, why would you do that? Are you an idiot? Are you? I can't, Jay. I can't take over.
Dude, I was watching that, and like when it first happened and they showed the replay, I was like, you're lucky Trent didn't like really connect with that. Like he kind of glancing blowed it. Like Trent didn't full on connect. If Trent would have full on connect, your neck could have snapped.
Yeah.
Like there's few dudes in the NFL, like very few dudes that I'm like, you don't like. There's a few guys where you're like, just don't touch him.
Don't ever poke that bear.
Don't want the smoke.
Don't ever poke that fucking
Trent's
bear.
number one on that list.
Easily.
Number one,
but he's like a sleeping, calm
giant.
No,
but did you see what happened? This dude literally came up and tried to like sucker punch him, and I was like, I saw the replay and I go, you got to be fucking kidding me. This guy's never seen the Washington highlight when Seattle was there. And he's like, what you fixing to do? He's like, I'm fixing to fuck your face up. And I was like, dude. I go, oh, my God. How are they restraining him right now? And it took everybody over there to be like, big dog, you got to chill. But that's what kind of bothered me was like, how do we not go back to New York and go, all right, hey, who are we throwing out of this? And like, nah, Cook's got to go.
It's always
like,
the second one, dude.
But like, that's my point. Like, we're using all this shit, all this stupid replay. Like, okay, well, we're waiting for New York to give us a response. You're telling me New York couldn't call in and be like, hey, Trent's cool, give him 15 yards, but that other dude's out. Like, you're out. But like, even then, like, how do you tell a guy on the field in that moment, especially someone like Trent Williams, who was super aggressive and super do not ever poke me. He got punched in the side of the head. Dude, you're on your own. You are officially out of here. That kind of bothered me, though.
I bet you Trent's number one concern is like, if I was going to get ejected, I should have absolutely murdered him.
Right?
Like,
I should have made it worth it.
If I knew that I was going to get the boot, like, I should have just hammer fist.
You know what? I'm not walking to the sideline. I'm actually going to walk to their sideline. Oh, shit. All hell would have broken loose, dude. That would have been
And you know what? Our
crazy.
Season's probably over anyway, so I'm just going to carry this forward.
Fuck it.
Multi-game suspension.
Back to the Chiefs and back to, even to piggyback a little bit off of Alex's point, it really goes to show you the drop off between superstar and next level.
Yep.
Right? Like, because you talk about the Niners offense, Debo, superstar. Ayuk has been a superstar. McCaffrey's a superstar. Kittle's a superstar. Right? Those four guys are superstars, top 5 in their position across the NFL when they're playing well.
Right.
You start going, well, why are we paying these guys? Why do we pay them so much money?
That's why.
That's why. Because the drop off from a superstar to even a good NFL player, right? Like Jennings is a good NFL player, right? The drop off from those guys is drastic. And when you have Brock Purdy, who I think has been, up until this week, I think he's been playing at a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. But when you lose that many pieces, it's almost impossible to try and field a super competitive team week in and week out. And they ran into the Chiefs defense that is unbelievable. I'm surprised Spagnuolo is not a head coach in the NFL. He probably will be next year, in my opinion. I think he will be.
I have a Spags take here. So he is. I think he has the greatest defensive coordinator resume in modern football history. But he's
you're
also
going
in
up
his
against
mid-60s.
Belichick, dude. That's kind of tough.
Well, but Belichick became a head coach.
But he
after,
still was the DC.
No, I agree with you, Mac. I agree.
So I'm saying, but like, as for guys that didn't become great head coaches, Spags is the only defensive coordinator with 4 Super Bowl wins as the coordinator. So he had and by the way, one of those was the 2007 Giants.
Yep.
That knocked off the greatest football team ever assembled, basically, the undefeated Patriots.
That was about to be the three-peat, right?
It was going to be their first win since 2004.
Yeah.
But it was the highest scoring offense in NFL history. They were undefeated
Right?
going into the Super Bowl.
That's what it was. They were undefeated. I remember going in, I was like, man, is this even going to be a game? And then when the New York won, I was like,
was that Tuck and Strahan?
Yep.
And like that crew up front, that pass rushing crew was ridiculous.
Spags dialed that up, and then he's got
that
that on his resume as a DC, and then he's been the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs dynasty under Andy Reid. And by the way, he was on the Andy Reid Eagles defensive staff when they went and got beat by the Patriots in the Super Bowl. So I mean, I think he's in his mids. He's like 65 now, so he might be a little old to be getting a head coaching job. But as a defensive coordinator, pretty hard to find a resume like that.
I mean,
go ahead, Jay.
I mean, you talk about really, it's he has kind of one superstar at each level, right? You've got Chris Jones up front. I'm not ready to say George Karlaftis is a high end pass rusher. I think he's an effective pass rusher, but he's not an Aiden Hutchinson. He's not a T.J. Watt. He's not a Myles Garrett.
No,
right? Bolton is an extremely solid inside linebacker. Drew Tranquill has become unbelievable since he left the Chargers, right? And then you go on the back end, and it's McDuffie,
who's a stud,
who's an absolute stud, and then the safeties are okay. I mean, they're not great, but the way he can scheme for his playmakers and the way that he can create mismatch and keeps an offense on their heels with just utilizing the pieces around him, that's what makes him so good.
And let's be honest, for years he had Patrick Mahomes on the other side, right? It's easy to scheme when your offense is putting up points, when we're putting up yards, when we're controlling the ball. It's easy to be like, hey, let's, you know what? Let's pin our ears back and have some fun. I don't give a shit what you do, right? That's when you're having fun. This is where I feel like Spag starts to make his money. When your offense isn't doing so hot, when you're in these close games at the end, and all of a sudden towards the end of it, you see Brock Purdy throws the interception, throws another interception. Like, these are the things that as you look around, you're like, man, this dude really does have it going on. Like, his defense is legit. It's keeping them in this. Like, it's funny because it's
saving
them. It is. It's this tug of war. And for years, it was the offense was putting up points. I remember for years, I was like 49, 42 games. And you were like, damn, dude, thank God Patrick Mahomes is over there. And now all of a sudden, it's the other way around. And you're like, well, what's happening? Your injuries are all over the place. And at the same time, when you don't even think about talking about Patrick Mahomes' contract, you're going to have to eventually start to go out and get some players. And you're like, dude, is this like the ebb and flow that we used to see for years? I felt like of the Patriots. Like early on, it was the defense was winning. And then all of a sudden it was Tom was kicking ass. And then all of a sudden it was like both sides were kicking ass. Like, dude, this is really exciting.
And I mean, you look at, oh, fuck, I just had a total CTE moment. Never mind. Move on. I had something and then it was gone.
No, you're good. All right, so listen, since we talked about
the mini stroke,
I kind of want to flip it to the other side, and you talk about the Niners, and you
that's
look at
what I was. Sorry,
go ahead.
I was going to say the thing that the other big piece that was so impressive is the way that they're keeping other teams out of the end zone with Mahomes turnovers.
Yeah,
right. Because that game early with Mahomes throwing picks and whatnot easily could have went the other way. But their ability to stop them on a short field and then to even get the ball back after a turnover, like the turnover margin. What is the turnover margin for Kansas City? It can't be very good.
I'll look it up right now.
Yeah, someone look it up right now because that for me is more of the staple of Spags and the identity of that team is when you see teams that kind of wear it as a badge of honor on the defensive side of the ball of like, we're going to win this game, right? Like it's us. It's not Mahomes. It's not
plus
like
three.
Like +3, that's not great for a Mahomes football team, right? But the ability that they're taking the football away is incredible. It's just so good. The turnover margin stuff for them is incredible.
Yeah, +3, and it looks different. It looks different, but they're still
the same because they're 5.
Wait a minute, Mackey, you have +3. I have -3.
Hold on. So team
dude,
stats.
this is the first
yeah, you're
time.
right, dude. You're right.
Hey, listen, all right, so listen, I knew you messed that up.
I
so
thought
listen.
they were. I thought they were in the negative.
You talk about why? Look at Patrick Mahomes' stats, dude. He's got 6 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, dude. This is very interesting. That's why I said this is where Spags is starting to make his money. Hey, we can't rely on these massive leads anymore. We're gonna have to stay in this game if these guys want to run the ball. How are we gonna do this? By the way, they're the only unfucking defeated team left in the league, and you're like, wait a minute,
with the turnover margin, dude.
Dude, that's what I do.
3 and you're 6-0.
But why? Think about it. Why? All of a sudden we have Patrick dead to rights. We got Fred Warner chasing him down. This is a for sure sack. But Fred accidentally grabbed his hand and not his shoulder. And then all of a sudden we let him slip up the sideline. Like, this is just the Patrick Mahomes. How many times this year has it been like 3rd and 5 and you're like, no way they get this? And all of a sudden, oh, I forgot Travis Kelce was on the team. Forgot that guy was over there. Like, he just has ways of making it work. But at the same time, huge shout out to Spags because he's the one that's really been driving this fucking train this year. And it's funny because remember early on when he was calling that timeout and he came back like, oh, sorry. It was like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot I wasn't the head coach. I'm kind of the one running the fucking show here. Andy, go get a cheeseburger.
Next time Mahomes decides he's going to walk, next time Mahomes decides he's going to fake going out of bounds,
he's going to get fucked up. He's going to get fucked up.
Ruin his life.
Get out of bounds. Hey, but that's the cat and mouse, right? So next time he does, you know he's going to jump out of bounds, and then
15
everyone's going
yards.
to. Oh, dude, for sure. He did that. He did the old whoop. I was like, oh, he still got it.
Genius. He's moving at like half the speed of the defensive tackles.
Did you see him afterwards talk about how he's like, yeah, I'm a little heavy. Like, it's like, buddy.
He's had a pouch for like 3 years.
You gotta just cut the carbs or something here, pal.
Yeah.
So yeah, he does lead the league with 8 interceptions.
Still doing it because I mean, dude. And then you talk about how about the last touchdown? And I've said this before to you, Mackey. I hate when you score a touchdown on a jet sweep. Just out of nowhere, you just hand this ball to the fastest guy in the field, and you're like, Michael Hardman forgot he was over there. Son of a bitch! Like, dude, they just show up in the best ways. But dude, shout out to Kansas City, 6-0, running this league still.
All right, new mic.
I got a mic.
Go for it.
Boys, Tua is starting practice again on Wednesday.
No, he's not.
Tua is reported to practice on Wednesday, and the Dolphins are still hoping that he can play Sunday.
I hate this.
I hate this.
I'm not
like,
about this.
I don't know. I just don't know how you can. I mean, I feel like every time he touches the ball, everyone's just going to be holding their breath. Yeah. Like everyone's just going to go because if one more thing happens, that training staff might as well. They're signing their life away to the fact that he stays healthy. If he gets hurt again, he gets another concussion. They're going to have to fire everybody. They're going to have to fire everybody there that cleared him.
They might have to fire the owner. Dude, they might have to tell that dude to sell the team. Like, how could you put this kid out? I mean,
I don't know
horrible,
how you
dude.
can. Dude,
I don't know how as a coach.
4 weeks? 4 weeks out? We're 4 weeks out from him being unconscious.
That's it?
It's a month out. I mean, we talked
about
it.
And they want him to play?
Dude. The storyline I saw is that he practices Wednesdays and they hope that he can play on Sunday. I can't believe that we're having this conversation. I can't believe that no one has come up to the table and pounded it. And I get it. When we had this thing on the pod, I read the comments. People are like, oh, grown man telling another grown-ass man what to do. But at some point in time, the adults need to come to the table and say, hey, your life is worth more than this game. Your life, dude. Like, your life is worth more than this game. I cannot believe that we're having this conversation. I cannot believe that they're not taking another extra month. They're toast. They have no shot in making it back. I don't know, man. I don't feel good about this at all.
Find anything on it?
I hate this.
Just what Jay. I'm just looking at kind of why they would do this. So they're sitting 10th right now in the AFC at 2-4, and they're 2.5 games behind Buffalo in the division. So they're thinking, hey, if we get him back, if we can just get to 3-4,
and to practice Wednesday.
They've got their next game home against Arizona on Sunday, so they think let's just get that game, get to 3-4.
It's being reported on NFL.com. Dude, that's horrible. That is absolute. I can't believe, and honestly, as a doctor on that team, as the head doctor, I would go to him and be like, listen, dude, I am forcing you to walk away. Like, we will not let you put a Dolphins jersey on. Number one, that is not what we're about. This just could be bad. I feel terrible.
I mean, I just feel like if you're really looking at the long-term plan of Miami, you paid him all this money. He's not going anywhere. He has guaranteed money. Just wait and reset next year. Like, and I get, like, no one wants to hear, like, especially Dolphins fans, but if you truly care for this kid's well-being and you truly care for the well-being of your football team, sit him for the rest of the year and say, we're going to try again come August of 2025.
Wait, how would you let him come back later? I'm like, dude, I'm letting you out. I'm letting you out.
I would too.
Out.
Trust me. I'm saying I would want him out too, as me personally. But if you're going to say, okay, as an organization, we want Tua Tagovailoa to be back as our quarterback,
you know
we're
what?
going to sit him down until 2025.
Okay, let me ask you this.
No, I know. No.
Bare minimum.
I know
You
what
guys
this
are-
is. This is pure pressure from everybody outside that doesn't understand, Jay, because they've never been knocked the fuck out. And I'm telling you right now, as a guy that has been knocked the literal fuck out for days, it is not fun. It is scary. And then you think about it could come back again. And we saw when he got hit last time, like stiff and not that. Dude, that is not. I'm telling you. It is not to be played with. You could change your life forever. Why? Because you want to get paid. That's why the doctor
You already got paid. You already got paid.
That's why the doctor should be like, hey, man, you're good. You are good with us. We refuse to let you come back. We're just going to pay you. Like, sometimes it doesn't work out. This is a very violent game. The one odd that comes out that's like, hey, this guy got hit randomly and he can't play again, but he signed a $150 million contract. You know what? Chalk that shit up as a loss. Walk the fuck away and let this dude go live his life. I can't believe that Stephen Ross himself isn't like, hey, bud, listen, I'll write the check right now. Here's 167 mils. Thanks for everything. It was great.
But see, that's my next question for you guys. Is you guys are, I agree with what you're saying, but you guys are also speaking as adults who've been in the league, have seen a lot of shit, and now you're out of the league and you're looking at this with perspective. Go back and put yourself in the shoes or the cleats. Let's say you're in the locker room. You are a 27-year-old in your prime veteran, and you're sitting in here. You just lost a game to the Colts because you couldn't throw for 90 yards in the air. And if you just lost 16-10, and you got a home game against Arizona, and Tua wants to come back. If you're in the locker room as his teammate and you're in the trenches, and you know that you can win these games if you have somebody better than Huntley throwing passes.
No, bro. I'm sorry. Listen, I'm telling you, as a real teammate, and Jay will tell you, it happened here in Minnesota. This dude wasn't going to tell anybody, and we had to go tell the training staff because it was like, dude, it's not worth it. I promise you. And I know I sound like an idiot. People are like, oh my God. But I'm telling you right now, the minute you get one, it will change your life forever. Like, even as I coach now, bro, he has had way too many, way too fast. And at the same time, he does not do well. Like, it's not, I can't express to you how not good this is for you. You should not be doing it's why
it's literally one of those things where you're not going to want to watch the game.
You're not.
You're like, I don't want to watch.
Why is the PA not jumping in? I'm surprised the PA hasn't jumped in and been like,
because it's all deemed by the private. I read through the article because I was curious about it this morning, and McDaniel is like, the independent neuro guys have deemed it safe. Our doctors have deemed it safe.
Okay.
I feel like I put myself in Mackey, like you said, but I put myself in his agent, like in his agent's shoes. I tell every single player, and Boone can attest to this, I am your protection. It is my job to look out for your best interest. And if I'm this agent, I'm looking at this guy and I'm flying out and I'm sitting down in front of him and I'm going to look him dead in the eye and go, buddy, I can't sign off on this in best interest for you and your career and your family and your life. Like, it's just not in your best interest. And it makes me sad. And I don't know, again, I'm not involved, but it makes me sad that there's not multiple people in his life that are telling him this is a really bad idea.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. New mic, Booney?
Oh, all right. I'm going deep. Deep. Jay, don't get mad at me. My mic is all the New York fan base. I'm so sorry.
Which one?
Both of them. That's my mic. Both of them.
Pick one and we'll go to the other one second.
Both. All of New York. I am so. But you know what? Jay, why don't you tell us about your fearless leader? I just need a little bit of Devontae Adams first.
First. Why am I getting thrown under the bus for the Jets?
Oh, because your buddy over here. Oh, that's a sensitive fine. Go ahead, Macadac.
Yeah, that was like the trout face.
Ultra! There it is. I knew I'd get him soon enough. Oh, I love it. Listen, I don't know what to say for either side.
Start with the Jets.
Okay, the Jets. My God, dude. It just, if it were a spear, it would have killed him as soon as it bounced back to the rookie.
I hope all of our fan base starts using that line because it's my favorite. I was watching the game with a couple guys last night that I don't usually watch football with, and I was like, golly, Garrett, that's a spear, would have absolutely killed you. And they were like, that's incredible. I was like, dude, it's my favorite thing because then you start visualizing like that thing would have pierced his heart.
It would have went diagonally through him.
He would have been in the ground impaled if that was a spear. I mean, that was such a dart by Aaron Rodgers.
Such a Jets thing to happen. Dude, I swear to God, no matter what they do, they just cannot get it together. They cannot get it together.
And I texted you guys this last night, and it pains me to say this. I think it's time to move on from Tyron Smith. It's been 2 weeks in a row now that he has been playing very, very poorly. I watched it live against the Bills. AJ Epinesa, who's not an incredible pass rusher, he's a good pass rusher, beat the dog out of him. And there's a time where he pulled on a couple trucks and taxis, the movement package where he gets out in space and whiffs on the corner.
Yeah.
Like he's getting older, and like you drafted Olu Fashanu. I think it might be time to move on from Tyron, because he's one of the biggest reasons that Aaron's getting pressure. Like every time someone was in his face, it was coming from the left side. And Tyron's an incredible guy. He probably wears a gold jacket. But I think Father Time, who catches all of us, is catching up with him, because he has not been very good this year.
You know, last night I was watching that game, and to me what stood out is the stark contrast in the organizations in that game. So on one hand, you got the Steelers, who've had 3 head coaches since 1968, and the Jets, who've had 19 coaches since 1968, including 2 in the last couple weeks. Steelers, I feel like the Steelers regularly outperform what their roster looks like. You say, oh, they don't have any weapons. They're kind of running out these random backup quarterbacks. They still find a way to win 10 games. The Jets put out ridiculous skill position players, Hall of Fame quarterback Aaron Rodgers, Tyron Smith, 2 shutdown cornerbacks, right? Defense, and they're 3 games under 500. And then the Steelers also made a major change. They changed their quarterback at 4-2, but the team kind of, like, he starts off slowly, but the team kind of rallies around it, and it's not, it doesn't derail them. The Jets make a couple changes, and everybody starts to just sort of,
wait a minute.
Nope, finger pointing.
I'm sorry. I got yelled at for a second. I'm confused. Did I walk? Are you guys surprised this is happening with the Jets? Are you surprised?
A little
Mackey?
bit.
No, not at all.
No, wait.
Zero.
You are.
I'm a little
you're for real. You're for
I'm
real.
a little.
With this.
I'm a little.
You are,
surprised.
Mr. We need to be all about the Jets. He wasn't at mandatory minicamp. He was in Egypt. You're really. We need to find the mole. You are, Jay. That's a lying fine.
I'm surprised.
That's a lying fine. I'm telling you right now.
lying.
I'm telling you right now, this ayahuasca bullshit is nonsense, and that's what it is. It's too much. It's trying too much. It's the body language. Dude, you watch that game, and I was watching it over a friend's house, and he was like, what do you think about Aaron? And I go, I think exactly that. And it was right when he was like bent over, rolling his eyes. I go, it's annoying. As an offensive lineman, I don't want to see you roll your fucking eyes. I don't give a shit what you do. Just don't look like a dud, right? Every time something goes wrong, it's always like, and it always kind of makes you wonder, especially me as an O-lineman, like, is he mad at himself or is he mad at somebody else?
But
like,
I do think but I mean, there's a couple plays. Like I look back to the Bills game, right? Like go back and like, again, I watched that game. There's receivers running wrong routes. There's receivers not converting.
That shit happens all the time, though. Stop lying to ourselves. Dude, Jay, how many times did Laquan Treadwell run the wrong route?
We were never happened. But it's never happened with Aaron Rodgers. He's always had receivers that can side adjust. He's had receivers that can convert things, right? I mean, Mike Williams, he called him out publicly, which I don't love. But at the same time, like he was supposed to convert that when they ran that coverage, and he's supposed to run the red line, and he doesn't, and Aaron throws a pick. Like that stuff, we watched Peyton get mad at guys for that.
But isn't part of the reason, to me, why a quarterback who's that great for 20-plus years only has 1 Super Bowl is because, and by the way, go look at that dude's fourth quarter comebacks and game-winning drives. He's the most front-running great quarterback ever. When things are going great and he can smile and he can love you up, it's all awesome. When things are going poorly, he's the first dude to create division in the locker room, it feels like, to call guys out publicly.
That's my whole point.
They would drive me nuts as a teammate.
And not only that, but, dude, you got the fucking head coach fired. Like, Saleh was a good dude. His defense was actually on top for a long time, saving that team, keeping them in anything. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, he's gone. And Devontae Adams is coming now. And all, dude, I mean, you know what the most Jets thing was now that I think about it? When Ulbrich tried to throw the red flag and Aaron Rodgers was like, fuck it, I'll do it myself anyways. Like, he just snapped the ball. And then you see Ulbrich running out there trying to, like, grab the red flag, trying to put it back. I was like, dude, that is the most Jets thing I've ever seen ever. Right there. Exactly. Now, they did score, to be fair, Conklin. I'll give you your love. I always liked him. But it's too much for me. And on the other side, you talk about the Steelers. I mean, Russ started out in this 50-50 ball, like 500. Whoever gets it, gets it. George Pickens was like, I get the memo today. I know what we're doing. Unbelievable.
Dude,
then,
George Pickens is just a mini DK Metcalf.
Dude, he was
mean,
like, he understood
really
the
is.
assignment. He knew it was going. He was like, oh, I get it. This guy's still a little short. But what happened was we kind of saw a transition of a different Russ. As the game went on, it started like he started feeling himself more. By the way, his feet in those yellow shoes look huge. Huge.
Very plotting.
I was fucking dying. Every time he moved through the
hooves.
pocket, it just looked so slow. I was like, it's because they look so big. Yeah, exactly. But the whole transition of throughout the game as he kind of went on and the George Pickens and him relationship was starting to look really exciting. You talk about defensively what they were doing against Aaron Rodgers. I mean, this is one of those things where it's like, listen, they were 4-2, and we were all like, no way they can sustain this. And now you put in Russ, and it seems like he's transitionally getting a little bit better, and it's like, fuck, they did it again. It's fucking Steelers, man. They're going to be good again.
Is that the best Russell Wilson has looked since he left
4
Seattle?
years? Yes, absolutely.
After the 2-for-8 start was a disaster.
Yeah,
but
don't get me. That's what I
after-
said. Like he started out and it was like this is going to be rocky, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh my god, he's starting to really feel himself. He's starting to look like the old Russ at times, and that's when I was like, holy shit, I know what Mike Tomlin's doing. This is why they're going to be good again. This is what's so fun about this team, and they're still a gritty team in my opinion. Like the Najee Harris touchdown at the end, could have taken a knee and was like, nah, fuck you, I'm going to score.
I
anyways.
think they're missing 3 starters on the O-line too.
Yeah.
Like you've got your 3rd-round pick Zach Frazier, who had to start the year because the starting center was hurt. He's down. You're missing like Mason McCormick, a 4th-round guard from South Dakota State. He's starting at right guard.
The Bunnies.
Right. I mean, they have Troy Fontenot's been hurt, their 1st-round pick out of Washington, so they got Broderick Jones over there. They've kind of got a patchwork O-line, and they played extremely well against the Jets pass rush that has been borderline unstoppable the last few weeks. But then Hassan Reddick, they opened the door. He's coming back now, too.
Dude,
Jets aren't dead. The Jets aren't dead.
Stand on the table right now. Tattoo bet right now. Right now.
Tattoo bet? Oh, wow.
Tattoo bet?
No. I'm not willing for that.
How about what about a
Ding
steak and a
him
beer?
right now for not being loyal. Ding him for being a coward.
I've been a Giants guy more than a Jets guy. You want
me to go that way too? You
well,
want
they're
me to
the
go?
next Mike.
I believe
they're the next Mike.
I'm
Go ahead,
almost sure that I 8 weeks ago was like, man, the fact that they didn't keep this one guy is really going to hurt them. And my God,
that was going to be
guy,
my that's my next Mike.
Yeah,
Saquon's
he
homecoming
punished them.
to MetLife was
How dare you not pay me, dude? He was the whole show. Like and he still looks so good, so good. My God, does he look good?
He shredded
Oh.
the Giants defense. I mean, shredded them up front, and he played with a chip on his shoulder. He still looks like the most complete back in the NFL, and I still stand on that bet that I had earlier that he's going to finish as the best running back in the NFL this year because he's on pace to do it. But you as a Giants organization to put up that performance, I think they had 8 sacks.
Yeah.
Right? 8 sacks against the Eagles.
Vic Fangio.
The question now becomes, we saw the move to Drew Lock in the 4th quarter with 11 minutes left.
Yep.
Do you think Dable rolls with Drew Lock, or do you think we still roll with Daniel Jones?
No,
He said today Daniel Jones will start week 8.
Did he?
Yeah.
But that is to your point. That is the first time that they've cracked open the door of not replacing him because he's hurt, but replacing him because he sucks.
Yes.
Well, not only that, but you have to start thinking too, and as a fan, you need to know this, is the team's going to start to think, how long can we keep him out there that he doesn't get hurt? Because if he gets hurt, then all of a sudden the injury waiver starts to kick in, and at the same time, it's like...
He's got too much guaranteed money anyway.
Does
It
he?
doesn't matter if he gets hurt or not.
I thought this was the last year of his injury.
1 more year guaranteed.
Oh, it's 1 more year. Are you sure about that?
I mean, I can pull it up, but
I thought it was 2 years, and then they're kind of clear going into
I thought it was
hard to say.
2025.
Hard to say.
Although there's a
knows
couple
what
other
this
teams we can talk about that are sitting on some fat quarterback habits.
I mean, at this point, even if it is guaranteed or not, at this point, are you really going to continue rolling that out there? Are you going to continue?
But that's my thing is Drew Lock's not better.
I agree, but it's like at least it's a change. The city sees a change. They don't see you going in the same direction. And I'm not saying all of it was his fault because taking 8 sacks isn't always going to be the quarterback's fault. There's going to be some that fall on the O-line. But at some point, it's like, dude, if we don't do something, and I mean anything, it's going to be our asses. Like it's going to be the owners coming down going,
Did
you're
you
out.
see Neighbors? Did you see Neighbors post-game presser?
No. What did he say? Oh, he had to be excited.
He said, "Check the target tape. I'm open."
Oh,
Right, like
Wow,
literally, they asked him
Wow.
about not getting a lot of balls and stuff, and he goes, "I don't know, I don't know about that, but all I can say is check the target tape. I was open."
Yeah.
And it's like, oh,
That's
man.
always
Here
always
comes the
great when
knife.
that's happening.
Here's knife
Dang
this
it.
way. Here's knife this
You know,
way. Oh,
the
everybody's
great
pissed.
irony here too is so Saquon Barkley, $176 against his former team. It's the second biggest performance by a running back against his former team ever. And the grand irony is,
Tell him.
as we saw documented on Hard Knocks, a huge reason, if not the main reason, why the Giants said goodbye to Saquon Barkley is because Daniel Jones makes $40 million. And they benched their $40 million quarterback while they watched the running back that they couldn't afford because of the $40 million run for 176 yards.
Dude, I think I read somewhere, and I'm almost positive that they said Saquon had more yards than the whole offense of the Giants. Was that true?
Let's verify. That sounds about right to me.
I'm almost positive 176, and they only had like 126, and I was
They
like,
did
oh,
not
wow.
only have 126 yards of offense. There's no way.
Here, let me see.
They gave 8 sacks, dude. They had 8 3-and-outs in the game. Are
Jeremiah's
you
in
fucking
denial
with me?
right now.
Listen, you know
Dude. Oh, man.
Is
Oh,
it?
man. We're going to have Jay put this number tattooed on his ass. Not only is Boone right,
I knew
it's
it.
not close, dude.
I told you.
So Saquon Barkley, 176 yards on the ground only, right? Did he also?
Yeah, he had
Yeah.
some passing yards.
So the Giants had 119 yards of offense.
Told you.
Saquon Barkley had 187 yards of offense when you account for 2 catches, 11 yards.
Hey, you asked 2 weeks ago, what's more important, a running back or a wide receiver? I will say this again. Not only does I stab you in the back, I'll stab you right in the front because now I'm going to piss me off. Dude, the fact that he was like, nah, I didn't play pissed. I was like, you were such a fucking liar. Ding him for that, by the way. Ding his ass. That is such a lie. But this goes back to exactly that. The Giants did this to themselves. And I'm not saying the players did or the coaches did. The ownership did this to themselves. Could have found a way. Don't tell me there's not a way. There's always a way to be creative. Hey, let's do this. Let's try this for the first time. We'll do this. This guy can go here. We can do this. I don't give a fuck what you have to do. But now the worst part about it, he's on your division rival. And now he just smeared your whole offense. One guy. We're not even talking about the dime that they threw to A.J. Brown. We're talking about one fucking guy making one cut and making everybody miss. And I was like, this is why you pay him $12 million a year.
Do the Giants start selling off parts?
Of course they do. You have to. Listen,
Okay.
it's that time of year, boys
And
and girls.
I know what you're gonna say. You want Dexter
Garage
Lawrence to come to
sale.
Minnesota so bad. It's just you
Okay,
go to
let
bed
me
at
ask you
night
this.
praying to Jesus.
if
Please,
there's
sexy
one
Dexy,
thing,
be in purple.
If there's one thing they can't ever lose,
Accurate.
it's got to be him. Dude, do not lose him.
Dude.
You cannot lose him. He is so fucking good.
I stood next to him in person. He's easily 385 pounds. I'm not kidding you, Boone. Like, I've stood next to Linville. I've stood next to big humans.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, he does the coolest thing in the world. Right before the game, he comes over and his wife comes over and his wife prays for him, like right there, like on his chest. And like, it like gave me chills to watch. But he is maybe the biggest human I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, just from like a physical presence standpoint.
Looks
like
the
just
juggernaut.
standing there, like you're just like, oh my, you can't be moved. You can't be anything. He is incredible.
Can I make you an offer?
What's your offer?
Just for fun here, all right? Let me timestamp this one here, too, because
I'm
I
in
might
this.
throw this on
I am
social.
in this offer. Wait, what side am I on? I'm on Jay's side.
No,
I'm on Jay's
he's
side.
trying to put an offer together to get sexy Dexy in
So,
purple.
so here, let me I'll throw out my next mic, and then we can go from it. The Vikings Lions game is my next mic.
How could you not? Well, of course we were going to talk about that.
That game was wild, back and
Epic.
forth. It was
Yes.
imperfect but perfect all at once. Vikings come out with a haymaker. Lions come back. Vikings throw another, and the Lions kick a game-winning field goal. Vikings were considering letting Will Reichert, the rookie from Alabama, who hasn't missed a kick all year,
you see
line
that?
up for like a 70-yarder. But they needed a couple more
Unfortunately,
yards,
the
but
left tackle was in the backfield.
it was a cluster bleep to get lined up. But my biggest takeaways, and then I'll make my pitch to you, are I think the Lions might be the best team in the NFL through the first month and a half.
No.
I know the Chiefs have like a secret
Thank
sauce
you.
and Spags. We talked about it.
I'm sorry, I can't. Then we can't say
That's
they're
fine.
the best. If
So Chiefs secret sauce, but Lions, dude, they are checking a lot of boxes. The Lions are 27-9 since halfway through the 2022 season.
That's nuts.
And I know Hutchinson's out. They might have to make a trade for somebody. But the Vikings punched with them for 3 hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did.
And if I'm the Vikings, I know a lot of fans are devastated today, but it's like, guys,
don't be.
You're not going 17-0. You just went toe-to-toe with maybe the best team in the NFL, and it could have gone either way. So if the missing piece for the Vikings, besides a more reliable quarterback than Sam Darnold, is somebody on the interior, a Dexter Lawrence, that can bring the whole defense together. The Vikings general manager 2 years ago, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah 2 years ago, said in an interview with USA Today, we'd never go full Rams on it. Like you shouldn't be trading your first round picks for it's really risky to go full Rams and just trade all your first round picks. But if I'm the Vikings today and I'm looking at the Niners maybe dead, the Cowboys maybe dead, like this thing's wide open right now. 2025, 2026 first round picks. And take a third round pick in 2026, Giants. And it'll give you some extra ammunition to replace Daniel Jones.
Why don't you Ricky Williams this shit and just say, take our whole draft card?
That's my offer.
Jesus, Mackey.
2 first round picks right now for Dexter Lawrence. And
I'm giving them up. I'm giving them away. No, you know you are. Listen, no. and I know this. Nope, stop it right now. I'm telling you right now. This is the long play. 2 first round picks. Are you Jay? That doesn't happen every day. And you're going to let us steal a third. How about this? Can it be a second? Two first and a second.
So the Vikings
2 first and a second, you got a deal.
The Vikings want this deal, but Joe Sheen is going to lose his job if he makes that deal.
No, he's not.
Yes,
he's going to save his ass.
It's a full rebuild.
Saquon.
That's why you need it. You're going to basically get 2 first rounders every year.
You let Saquon walk. You give away your heart and soul of the defense. You already made a huge trade to bring Brian Burns in, right? Trade
him too.
How about Thibodeau too? Thibodeau's got too.
Malik Neighbors is on the block, boys. Malik Neighbors is on the block. Full fire sale.
Welcome to the garage sale over at Phil Mackey's. Everything's for sale. Everything.
Everything must go. Clearance. The yellow stickers across MetLife. You can name the stadium too.
I want Phil Simms. I want Lawrence Taylor. I want Michael Strahan. I'm just saying, if I'm the Vikings, I am making that phone call today. Giants,
I'm taking that deal. I'm taking that deal, and I'm going to the owner, and I'm telling him why. Hey, we're in a total rebuild. We're going to need to get our quarterback next year. We can get our quarterback and somebody else.
Dude, you know what's
I know, dude. I know what you're thinking, but listen,
they're going to draft. They're going to draft Shadur Sanders.
They probably will,
and
but
I'm going to have to watch Shadur Sanders and be a fan of Shadur Sanders because my guy's going to be snapping him the football.
You don't have to be a fan of anyone you don't want to be, but the whole point is going to be if you need to do this rebuild, you're going to need to sell something off that's very pricey, and that's the bullet that you bite as ownership. You look down this pipe, and how many people told him, you're really going to let Saquon walk away? Like, you don't even make him an offer. You don't even look at him and go, hey, man, let's just go have dinner. Let's throw numbers out. Wherever you want to be, we can make it work. We're creative. We're smart. We're from 345 Park Avenue. I know what the fuck's going on. But at the same time, now you're saying, well, we can't get rid of anything. If you don't, you're still dead in the water next year. What's going to change? Now you just get Shadur and nothing else. You have to wait till the second. That's why if I'm the GM and I've dug us in this hole, I go upstairs right now and I go, you tell me how far I'm allowed to go and why.
Free Dexter.
No, dude, I'm freeing everybody. I'm freeing as many people as need to get out as long as it gets us first and second round draft picks. And if I can get 2 in each round for the next 2 years, let me do what I got to do. I'll be like, hey, listen, by the way, our hands were kind of cuffed in this. Daniel Jones was here before we were here. Like, what did you want us?
They paid him.
They didn't really have a choice. There was nobody in the market. There was nobody in the draft. There was nothing. You wanted them to go in and just be like, that blanket, we'll fucking figure it out later. They were like, hey, this is the best we got, and this is market value. What do we do? What do you want us to do? Our hands are tied. Now we have a way to get out. Get out, dude. Get out while you still can.
That'd be really scary if Brian
It wouldn't
Flores
be.
got Dexter Lawrence.
What could be
worse? I'm saying if Brian Flores got Dexter Lawrence, that defense would
you're fucking crazy. That was the one thing that we talked about in that game was the two-headed beast, right? When you talk about that chess match, if you're going to play chess, then we're just going to make this a boxing match. Fuck it. Let's come out here and swing, big dog. And that was one of the things is you talk about Dexter Lawrence and the presence he brings in the middle. Like, dude, you notice him the entire game. He's collapsing pocket after pocket, making TFLs and showing up in tackles. And you're like, somebody knows that the nose guard needs to be blocked at all times, right? Like, what the fuck are we doing? Dude's a stud.
Unbelievable player.
I don't think the Giants will trade Dexter Lawrence. So
Because they're stupid.
Of
course. They're not going to because they're stupid. Yeah, no. No,
Lions,
you stay with us. You lose with while we lose. Nobody gets out alive.
But the Lions yesterday, so it's funny because Flores was told, Flores was asked like Thursday by the media, hey, you're facing this really creative, high-octane offense. Are you going to have to change your strategy or change your game plan? Or this is earlier in the week. And he said, I tend to fight fire with fire. That's just me. And he takes a sip of his water, and kind of looks out the media. And he did, man. So the Vikings, according to Pro Football Reference, the Vikings came in with the second highest blitz rate defensively in the league.
Yep.
And they blitzed more than their average blitz rate against the Lions and said, hey, we're going to – and it worked on the first drive. It pushed the Lions back into like a 3rd and 26. But, dude, Jared Goff, who I'm not sure like the average NFL fan realizes that he's become like a legit top 8 quarterback in the NFL.
He is.
And he is the best quarterback in the league against the blitz. Coming into the week, he was like 12
yards.
He
diced him up. Diced him. Just was like, you're going to throw this at me? Then I'm just going to throw this to, where is he? Amon-Ra. There you are. Boom. Like, you were like, there's no way. Like, he just made it look so easy.
But it wasn't even like Amon-Ra was like, hey, where's Patrick?
Right, dude, let me find just Patrick. Another one,
let
right?
Me find like anyone. He was just so confident with his decision making, which has always kind of been when I watch Jared Goff, like in LA at the end there. The first half is like, man, he's just not the decision. I talked about it last week with the anticipation with the way he's throwing the football. I don't know if there's a quarterback in the NFL right now that's playing better than Jared Goff. Name me one. Name me one quarterback that you say right now is playing better football.
Joe Flacco. Got to put him back in.
Than
Joe.
Jared Goff.
Somebody free Joe.
Free Joe Flacco, dude.
And the great part is every time they just run the ball. They put it on the shoulders of Jared Goff this week, and he delivered.
Absolutely.
He delivered against one of the best defenses in the NFL.
He was excellent. And then you talk about the pressure that they put on him, and like that one time and I forget who it was, but he had his hands on the ball, and Jared just made it so like slip away. And I was like, I was like, you don't just see that. You don't just see quarterbacks that just go, my ball. Like normally the ball gets slapped away or like it's like a big production. He's just calm in the pocket. And a lot of that has to be from number one, Dan Campbell. Like this is a huge shout out to Dan, right? Like they've clearly bought into his philosophy. Talk about the record over the last 2 years. That's all Dan Campbell. That's him literally looking at them and going, you see all this hard work that we put in? It can translate as long as you believe in what we're doing and you know what we're doing is right. He is one of the greatest motivators out there. But it's the fact that he like puts this toughness on his quarterback. There's not a lot of quarterbacks that I would say are tough in the league right now. He is one of the toughest. Like I saw him take a few hits and he still was like, I don't give a shit. But then you talk about how people do always go, wow, they just hand the ball off. Dude, did you see Jahmyr Gibbs? When he bursts out, it is one of the cleanest things I think I've ever seen. Like, he is incredibly special. Like, the David Montgomery going down early, I was like, oh, that's going to be interesting. He came back, ended up fumbling it later. But at the same time, as soon as they handed it to Jahmyr Gibbs, it was like, okay, this is the match that they want to make it. Like, you talk about fire versus fire. Dude, they didn't even bring fire. They were like, no, we don't even really need the fire. We're just going to give it to this guy a little bit. We're gonna hand it off to him, let him make big plays. Let him get us out of trouble. And it started out a little shaky, but, dude, that was one hell of a fucking game. That was, and I don't know any fan that could be upset about that. Like, we're talking about the number 2 team in the NFL, and you went all the way down to the wire with them. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. If you would have gotten spanked, that's different.
If you look from week 3 on, he's 23 of 18, 20 of 19, 27 of 20, 25 of 23, 25 of 22 with 2, 4, 6, 9 touchdowns in the last 4 weeks. And he's only incompleted like 10 passes. Like he is playing
he's got more touchdowns in 4 games
level
than Patrick Mahomes has all year. That's insane.
He also has, so 2 other things too. He has the 3 longest completion streaks to start a game in the league this year. Where like he had the one where he was 18 of 18 for the game.
Yeah.
And then he was like 14 of 14 yesterday.
But hey, let's talk about, okay, now you brought up a great point. Why? And it's this offense. So I don't know if anyone noticed, but last week the Vikings blitzed Ivan Pace a lot backside, right? Like that he would creep up and he showed it. Dan Campbell was clearly like, okay, this is fucking stupid. Look at this void behind him. So the minute that he saw Ivan Pace creep up, it was like, okay, here we go, slant behind it. Like, it's one of these things where it's like easy completions. We know it's going to be there. We're throwing screens on the outside. Why? Because we have great blockers out here, and we can get our O-line out here. We're creative. They're not afraid to mix it up and throw wild things in there. What did we see last week? We saw the flea flicker reverse that went to Laporta. Like, dude, all these things become really exciting, and then you're like, yeah, you're right. This guy really doesn't have a lot of incompletions. And some of them are wild throws and they're crazy, but some of them are just super simple and they're super fast, and it's to catch you off your heels. And then all of a sudden we're throwing a screen and tossing it to the right tackle. Like, this creativity that Ben Johnson has, dude, I fucking love him. He's my number one
awesome.
OC right now. I love everything about him.
Where's he coaching next year?
Oh, if I had
He'll
to
be a
guess,
head coach. He'll be
Cleveland?
a head coach next year.
maybe.
I mean, Stefanski,
think-
man, but
I know. Believe me,
he
everybody
doesn't take
knows how
that
much
job.
we
He
love
turned
Kev.
down the Washington job.
Yep.
I think he
But
turned
he's-
Cleveland down.
I don't know.
It depends. I think it depends on the success they have this year. If they go
Jets?
NFC Championship and they go NFC
No, I think-
Championship, or they go to the Super Bowl and lose or even win, I definitely think he moves on. But I, think
I don't
if
know,
they
dude.
if they
Dan
don't-
Campbell could get you to come back. I feel like Dan could get you to come back. He
You
could be like, dude,
can't-
come on,
But
come
we
on, one
talked
more
about
run
this
back.
last. We talked about this
Come
last
on.
week too, though. Like, if you have the opportunity to be head ball coach of the NFL, you got to take it. Like, you got, and I understand why he came back this year, but 2 years in a row, if you have opportunities like that, you got to take it.
Cowboys?
Yeah.
Ooh, that one's
Cowboys.
spicy. You're a dirty dog for
But
bringing that up.
And
You
and
are.
my kind of my last thought on the Rams here, or not the Rams, the Lions, is I'm going full Rams if I'm the Lions. Like, I'm trading everything. We have the team. We have the lightning in the bottle. Make whatever moves you need to right now necessary to go win a Super Bowl.
Max Crosby?
Max
You're talking about. He's
Crosby.
obviously talking about defensive end. Yes.
I'm talking about defensive end, like, or anything else you deem.
Bosa,
like-
you want to
like,
come over here?
That's go full Rams.
Dude, you have to. You
Go full
start at the
Rams.
top and work your way down, and you just call and you go, I'm doing it. I'm going full Rams. You
Yeah.
tell me what defensive end, dude. I am 100% with you, because not only here's the thing. Not only am I going full Rams, because this isn't one of those scenarios where it's like, this is our last chance. This is like, we're in the meat of it, boys. This
Yes.
could extend for years. This could start our dynasty. Not only have we been shit fucking since the beginning, but now we could start what we've always wanted. And who would have thought you went from this Bill Belichick to this fucking offensive Dan Campbell of, we're just going to bite kneecaps and beat the shit out of people? Dude, it is so fun to watch the backyard brawl. And Mackey, we talked about it on Purple Daily when you were like fire versus fire. And what did I tell you? Watch out for that two-headed beast, because you can't really throw a lot of fire at that thing, because if you do, it's going to cost you in the play action. And at the same time, like when you talk about the Jared Goff, and he used to play for the Rams, this new Jared Goff is completely different. The minute he saw 7-Up, he was like, where's my number one? Up there you are. I got you. Give me 1 second. Like, all of this learning from Dan Campbell and all of this like taking pressure off me. I'll just hand it to Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, all these things, Laporta, whatever it is. Like, there's so many awesome playmakers, but who's really running this whole fucking engine is that offensive line. Like, you talk about their ability to get up on linebackers and their ability to run block and their ability to pass block and their ability to be fucking tough every single week. Huge shout out to Hank Fraley, who I saw finally on the sidelines with his microphone hanging way out, like he had just gotten yelled at and was about to motherfuck the O-line because they had just given up a sack. But the whole thing is working, right? And then defensively, they're just showing up and making fucking plays because they're fucking savages. Anzalone in the middle, you're like, dude, I love the blonde hair. By the way, did you notice it was long blonde versus long blonde with Van
It was
Ginkel?
great.
And I was like,
Yeah.
who's gonna show up today, dude? Which one of you
Hawkinson's on the
Goldilocks
sidelines,
motherfuckers
all
is coming?
jealous. Goldilocks.
I'll be back. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not allowed to make fun of defenders on this show. Yes, I am.
By the way, Dan Campbell, I feel like maybe you guys were different than me when he took that job. I thought this is a fun hire, but it's going to last like 2 years. He's going to be in like a bolt of lightning and out in a fiery flash. But he's been awesome. I mean, the motivation, the culture that he's built, and then the right assistants that maybe fill in some of the gaps that he's not going to.
I don't think I knew what to think when they hired him. I mean, obviously he was in Miami and he was younger and he didn't get the job. But at the same time, I was like, when you look back, you're so happy for his success because you knew it was going to take a ton of hard work to dig yourself out of that hole. Like, that city had been reeling for years and years and years. And then all of a sudden it was like, holy shit, we're kind of good. And then we're not anymore. And then all of a sudden it's like Dan Campbell's back. Like, dude, and you know what's even crazier is when you think about like the Megatron days. Like, they couldn't get it done with Stafford and Megatron. and they couldn't do all these things. And I played those teams, and those teams were tough as shit too when they had Sue and all those dudes. Like, they were really, really good, and they were really, really close, but they just weren't that good. Like, eventually they would have these small breakdowns, and you'd be like, oh, there's their fault. Let's just push on this button. And now you're looking at them, and you're like, holy shit. I don't know if I'd really want to play these guys. They show up every single week. They don't look afraid. But not only that, they look at what they're playing. Talk about the Ivan Pace blitzing. We're just going to show up in the holes that they want to fill themselves. They want to create these mismatches. We'll take advantage of it.
I think you got to give Brad Holmes a lot of love, too, with the ability of what he's been able to hit with draft picks. Right? Draft picks. So much success in the NFL is hitting on your draft picks, and he's knocked it out of the park. Penei Sewell was an amazing pickup by them. Jack Campbell in the middle as a linebacker, right? They draft Laporta, right? They draft Jameson, draft Jameson
Gibbs
Williams.
high.
They draft Gibbs high, and everyone was like, "Oh, what are you drafting Gibbs for?" Home run higher, right?
Now you know why.
Aiden Hutchinson. Like, you can, if you go down the list with 5, 6, 7 guys that are huge difference makers, and you got them in the draft, you got to give a lot of love to that scouting department. You got to give a lot of love to the GM, like, because yes, the coaches are doing a great job. But you got to get the Jimmies and the Joes in there, and they have done a great job hitting on those draft picks.
Yeah.
And
okay. Timeout. This will be the end of part 1 here for the audience.
There's so much more to get to.
Damn it. I was going to say, dude.
We got more. We'll get more on part 2. Got to get to the Achilles tendon tear heard around the world yesterday and some other stuff. So this has been your part 1, week 7 recap. Part 2 in dumb football questions form. If you haven't already, click the like button and the subscribe button on the O-Line Committee YouTube channel and give us a 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple and Spotify.